We're going to be talking about proportions and percents. This is not new information. We did this last year. All right, so proportions and percents. Okay. So if you remember last year, there were two different ways that we could solve proportions. All right, and I want you understanding both ways in solving these proportions. So there are two methods to use when solving equations or solving problems with percentages. The first one is proportions. The second one is our percent equation. I think it's important for you guys to know both of these. Alright, so I am going to be showing you both of them. Now that you guys have calculators, the percent equation is going to be a heck of a lot easier. Alright, but a lot of you lean towards proportions more. Alright, so let's talk about proportions. So when we are setting up proportions with percents, you're going to have your percent fraction set equal to your numbers fraction. And that numbers fraction is always your is over your of. Is goes with my parts. Of goes with my whole. Sit up, please. How many of you guys remember this from last year? Awesome. Alright, so if I give you something like what percent of 80 is 18? You're actually taking notes. So everything I'm writing you're writing, okay? So what percent of 80 is 18? Now the thing I want to remind you is when you write them in this way, so we have a proper, we're going to talk about proper percent sentence. I'm big on this. You guys know this. A proper percent sentence has our percent of information is information. I want you always setting up, and in this one it's already been given to you that way, I want you always setting up your percent sentence in that manner. Percent of something is something. Because that means that my of information is right after my of, and my is information is right after my is. And we can very easily see our numbers fraction. And we can very easily see where our percent is. Alright, well here, yes. I'm going to show you right now what I'm doing. So let me get going on this, and then I'll answer that question, I promise. So if you guys notice, our percent is what is missing. Remember, we're setting up a proportion. So any percent that we set up as a fraction, here it's going to be x over 100 equals, well, it's always our is over our of. And I still even write this down when I set up my proportions so I can remember. My is information here is my 18. My of information is my 80. And now I go ahead and I solve that. All of you guys solve that, please. Remember, you're using your cross multiplication. You have to show me all your steps. So I should see 80 times x is equal to 100 times 18. That is a required step. Don't forget it. So what did you guys get for x? Ashton? 22.5? All right, so here's the thing. Let's put a little note here. Since the missing percent was written as a fraction, that x is the actual percent. X equals the actual percent. So this would simply, we would just simply put a percent sign on there. We don't have to change that. When we go use the equation, that will be different. Victoria, I'm hoping that that answered your question. Yeah. Excellent. Let's do another one. And in this one, I want you setting up a proper percent sentence that goes with this. Who needs to see what's up there? Charlotte, you good? All right. Put the calculator down if you're not using it to calculate, please. So I want you, first of all, you must write this as a proper percent sentence. So our given is find 75% of 320. So write that down, and then you're writing that as a proper percent sentence. Remember, your proper percent sentence always starts with the percentage. And then of. So why are we changing that information? Because the 75 is with the percent. Why are you putting it there? So in this one, your isn't shown at all, is it?
Teachers and students, please pardon the interruption. Girls in choir who practice on Tuesday will not practice today, but will practice tomorrow after Mass. Just a reminder that we do have our all-school Mass tomorrow. Those who are cantering, please meet Mr. Garcia by the blue awning. I'd like to wish Mrs. Matthews a happy birthday today. Happy birthday today, Mrs. Matthews, our 6th grade language arts instructor. Happy birthday today, Ava Herlahai. And just a reminder of our candy cane sale on Wednesday and Thursday. Those are your announcements for this Tuesday. Have a terrific rest of your Tuesday. Thank you.
So I have 75% of 320. What word is missing in there? Matthew? Is. Well, the is information is also what's missing. So your proper percent sentence should say 75% of 320 is what number? Or is X. That's what your proper percent sentence should say. Don't change the information around. They give us the percent. So keep it with it. 75% of 320 is X. That should be your proper percent sentence. All right, somebody write this as a proportion for me. Serena? Excellent. Remember, it's is over of. All right. Did you divide out common factors between the 75 and the 100? Okay. So you ended up with 75 times 320 is equal to 100x, right? What's 75 times 320? 24,000 flat is equal to 100x. Now what? It's not a percentage because we have our percentage, so that is simply our answer. Questions on that? Yes? because I am putting it into fraction form in a proportion. So when we're doing proportions, that's a good question. So where we are doing proportions, all right, we have equivalent fractions. Isn't that what we have? Isn't that what proportions is? So that means is that we have our percent fraction equals our numbers fraction. So we are changing that percentage into a fraction to create a proportion. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's talk about our percent equation. And Chris, that's a good lead-in for me on that. So let's talk about the second method, which is our percent equation. Questions on proportions? Okay. Our percent equation, what this does is this changes our proper percent sentence directly into an equation. This is my preferred way of doing it, because then I don't have to think about is over of. We literally just take that sentence, and it is our game plan for our equation. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go ahead and do the one that we just did up here. So find 75% of 320. Someone tell me again what the proper percent sentence is for this? Nick? Excellent. Someone tell me, when I have a percentage of something, what operation goes with of? When I have a percentage of or a fraction of? Colin? No. Multiplication. That of means multiplication. What does is mean in a math sentence? Jacob? That means equals. So I'm literally going to drop everything straight down. So Chris, this is when I change that percentage into a decimal instead. All right, so what is 75% as a decimal? 0.75. So I'm here, let me put a little note here. Here in our percent equation, we change the percent into a decimal form, into its decimal form. In proportions, we change that percentage into its fraction form. In percent equation, we change it into its decimal form. And we literally drop everything straight down. So I have 0.75 of means multiplication, 320 is means equals, and x. That's it. And then you get your calculator and you do that multiplication. So all of you do that, please. So I can prove to you that that's the same answer. So x equals 240. All right, let me give you a couple more to practice on, and I want you to practice them I want you to do both proportions and equations for both of them, for the ones that I'm giving you, okay? So I want you guys to practice both. Raise your hand if you need to see what's up there. Okay. All right, so you make that direction using both proportions and the percent equation. And by the way, they both use the proper percent sentence, so you only need one of those. Solve the following. All right, I want you to round to the nearest tenth if necessary, because I'm just making these up, and you never know what's going to happen when I make something up. All right, so here is my first one. Hi. Oh my, I keep getting these really nice bags too. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. I want you to find 25% of 80. All right, now put a second one up. Keep going. So I want you to do both of these individually, and you're setting up proportion for each and a percent equation for each. But you have to start with the percent sentence first. So for each of them, you should be writing a percent sentence, and then from that percent sentence, you should be writing a proportion for each and a percent equation for each. Okay, let's do that first one. So I want to find 25% of 80. Somebody write that as the proper percent sentence. Peter? No. Write that as a proper percent sentence. 25%. Yes, I have to have that. If you guys did not have that, you're writing that down. Remember, I said that to you. You have to write a proper percent sentence. That is my requirement. If you didn't do that, you're doing it now. That's worth a point on any quiz or test. All right, so let's start with proportions. So Peter, write that as a proportion for me. Excellent. So, go ahead.
100x equals 25 times 80.
Okay.
100x equals 2,000.
Okay.
Divided by 100, I got x equals
How many of you guys got x equals 20? Awesome. Somebody write my percent equation for me. Isabella? All right. Yep. Multiply those and they get x equals 20. All right. How about my second one? So we have 27 is 30% of what number? All right, so here's my second one. Somebody write my proper percent sentence for me. Kaylee? Whoa, 30% of what? X is 27. Absolutely. So there's our proper percent sentence. All right, do you want to set up a proportion for me, Kaylee, or do you want to set up the equation? What's that? Excellent. Go ahead. Excellent. Keep going, sweetie. Okay. Excellent. X equals 90. Excellent. Somebody do my percent equation for me from there. Go ahead, Colin.
I did 23x equals 27, but I'm divided by 23 on this side.
Excellent. All right, let me give you guys another one, and I want you to do the percent equation for this. Okay? Questions on any of those? Okay. What percent of 320 is 272. So I want you to use the percent equation. Because in this one, this goes back to, Victoria, this goes back to one of your questions. All right. In this one, our percent is what's missing. So we got to figure out how to write that percent. All right. So this is already in the proper form. So somebody tell me, well, first of all, if our percent is missing, I'm just going to write x as my percent. So somebody write this percent equation for me. Serena? Excellent. All right. Now if I solve this, I'm going to divide each side by 320. All right. So 272 divided by 300. Nope. 272 divided by 320. This gives me x equals 0.85. Now, this is what I want to explain to you. Since we wrote the missing percent as x, our answer is the decimal form of the percent. How do I turn the decimal form of the percent into a percent? So this is like you guys getting your test back, and you guys getting like 46 out of 48, and you're like, what's my percentage? And I'm saying to you, you've got to figure that out. You do 46 divided by 48, you get a decimal. That's not truly your percent. How do I change a decimal into a percent? Blythe? What mathematically am I doing if I'm moving my decimal 2 places to the right? What mathematically am I doing, Jacob? Nope. I'm actually multiplying by 100. I'm not going to make you show me that, but you have to understand that is what you're actually doing. We're multiplying that decimal by 100. So our answer is 85%. So in proportions, when the percent is missing, we're setting up a fraction so that x is the actual decimal, the actual percent. In a percent equation, our x is representing the percent, which means when we're done, that's the decimal form of the percent. You guys cool with that? Okay. So now let's talk about a story problem. So when we talk about story problems, this is my biggest tip for you. Always look for the percent. Whether it's missing or they've given it to you. All right, because we want the percent segment sentence of the problem. That is the beginning of our percent sentence. All right, the other thing is your of info will always be connected to the of. That's just how our English language works. Sit up, please. That's how our English language works. Of is a preposition, right? And that's part of our prepositional phrase. All right, so always find it's always made percentage of and the of information. And whatever else is missing is the is. Whatever information is being shown is the is. You guys cool so far? Who needs to see what's up there? Chris, how you doing? Are you tired? Is that why we're doing this? Okay. So if you're tired, you know you can go stand. Okay. Who needs to see what's up there? All right, so when you're analyzing a story problem, always look at percentage. Find that part of the sentences as a percentage of, because that's the beginning of your percent sentence. The of information will always come right after it. The is information isn't going to be quite as obvious. All right, so once you figure out your percentage and the of information, whatever else is being measured is the is. Okay, so here is the story problem I want you guys doing. So I want you reading the whole thing through. Figure out that percentage part of it. Write your givens down. I want you can either use your proportion or you can use a percent equation. I don't care which one. You're either going to use your proportion or the percent equation. But you have to write a percent sentence once you break your givens down. That is required. Okay, so somebody read the segment of this that has a percentage. Chris?
75% of our country.
77.6?
77% of our country's total water supply is about 264.4 billion gallons per day.
Okay, so we have the 77.6% of the country's water supply. How many of you guys see that? There's the beginning of our percent sentence. All right, now I don't disagree with you, Chris, but I don't want you putting any numbers in other than the percentage in your percent sentence. but you did an awesome job writing that percent sentence. So let me just get back out here. So let's look again at what Chris said. So I wrote down my givens here. So you guys slow down, don't keep going because I want to make sure you write these percent sentences right. Here's our percent sentence. 77.6% of the country's water supply. And Chris is right. Well, it's not, I don't want you writing 264.4 billion gallons. All right, what information is that 264.4 billion gallons? What information is that? What information is 264.4 billion gallons? Kaylee? It is or is, but what information is it? Describe what that information is. Jacob? What information is that? Because I could change that to 400 billion gallons. I can change it to 100 billion gallons. What information is that? Ashton? Surface water supply. So if I write this out, 77.6% of country's water supply is surface water supply. That is the sentence I want to see. All of you stop calculating. All of you make sure you've written that down. You don't see any other numbers in there other than your percentage. That's what I want to see. So please make sure you have that sentence. That is required. All right. Somebody, how many of you guys did a proportion? Awesome. Somebody write my proportion for me. Nick, go ahead.
77.6 over 100 over 2.6.
All right, so let's see if that's right. So the surface water is our 264.4. The country's water is what's missing. This is over of. I like that. Nice job. Somebody write my equation for me. Who did an equation instead? Awesome. You guys, the equation's like the easiest ever because you have a calculator. So somebody write my equation for me. Jacob? Excellent. And what did you get? 340 flat? So 340 billion gallons. Kaylee? So is over of. All right, so yes, that is correct. Thank you for correcting me. So Nick, make sure you pay attention to your is over of. Your is information is at 264.4. My of information is my x. I would highly recommend that you guys go back in your sentence and you put that information above where it goes. Thank you for correcting me. All right, I just want to make sure we did this right. So we have 264.4 divided by 0.776. So this that's not exact, Jacob. So you guys are using your calculators. All right, since these are rounded to the nearest tenth, Colin, sit up. Since these are rounded, this is rounded to the nearest tenth, our answer needs to be rounded to the nearest tenth. So this is actually 340.7 billion gallons. All right, if I do my cross multiplication, I have 100 times 264.4 is equal to 77.6x. So that's 264.40 is equal to 77.6x. I'm just making sure we got the same answer. So 26440, put your hand down, divided by 77.6, and I end up with the same answer. X is equal to 340.7 billion gallons. That's okay. Colin. will what be on the homework quiz? What did I tell you the homework quiz was going to be on? What did I tell you was going to be on the homework quiz? Victoria? 4.1 and 4.2. This, look at your notes. This is 4.3. So I said to you guys at the beginning of class, this stuff today is not on your homework quiz. I'm glad we're clearing that up. This stuff is new stuff that we're going to be having due after break. The stuff from 4.1 and 4.2 are on your homework quiz. So your homework tonight is getting ready for your homework quiz tomorrow, which is looking at stuff from 4.1 and 4.2. This, I don't see you Thursday. So I'm flip-flopping my Thursday and my Thursday, I'm flip-flopping your classes. You might have homework tomorrow. I don't really know. Haven't quite figured that one out yet after the homework quiz. I might or might not. But this homework that I gave you tonight is due after break. Okay? Yes? Have you met me? Have we met? Thank you, Chris. It's a gift enough that I told you when the homework quiz was. You think I'm going to tell you how many problems and what the problems are? Would you like that too? Yeah, Well, get over yourself. All right. You guys can go ahead and relax for a few minutes and pack up. Clear your calculators, please.